Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out, all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Spartan Institute Network. You are at Operation Hangout. Of course, this little Spartan cannot do it by himself. Let's bring the most angriest person I know on this platform. And of course, we are talking about our little boot camp sergeant, Angry Elf.
Stop.
What is going on, my man? How are
Oh,
you today?
God. Good, you?
Another night, another buck, another penny. You know how it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's get the next person here. All right. His nickname is CBN. We know him as Black David, but here we know him as Little Groot, as one of our followers has renamed him as Baby Groot.
Bear paw.
Turn your goddamn camera, you ugly fuck.
Bear paw. Bear paw. Get it straight. It's bear paw.
Yeah.
Not baby goat. Whenever you
What's
call
up,
me
my man?
baby
How are you
goat
doing?
or little goat, that logo come up first. I'm alright in a
You're gonna
little
be stuck with
headache.
that nickname. You like it or not. So what's going on,
Nah,
man? How are you tonight?
trust me. I'm doing okay because baby goat don't survive in Brooklyn. Not even little goat. They get beat up. But I'm bear paw
You know,
and
it's
I
funny,
don't look
dude.
like a goat.
It's funny. I was hanging out with a friend tonight, and the the Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2 was with 3, when he's a baby and he's playing with the radio and trying to connect it,
Hmm.
and he gets all
That's the
fucking
second
pissed.
one.
Yeah, Volume 2, when he's get all pissy because Drex fucked it up on him.
Hmm.
Before we get on
I
topic,
know.
I want to ask you guys a question. It's off
Go
topic.
ahead.
Okay,
Right.
here we go.
I am a huge Karate Kid fan. I don't know
Yeah.
about you guys. I know I have mixed feelings about it, sweet and sour, because they're not following the Karate Kid, Cobra Kai series at all. That's what it looks like, it at least. Now, what I read, but it actually looks pretty good from the trailer. What do you guys think?
I mean, I might go see it. More than likely, I'll wait until it comes to streaming.
You want my honest opinion on this?
Do I have a choice?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this movie is a cleanup crew movie for the simple fact whereby when they did the last Karate Kid movie with Jackie Chan, there was a little misunderstanding because, for one, the whole lineup of Karate Kid was based on the karate style, the martial arts are based in Japan, whereby, quote unquote, they had to deal with Japanese characters, not Chinese. Yes, there's a historical fact whereby part of the karate style originated from China, so to speak, based
That is
on
true,
a
actually.
particular that is based on a particular clan, which is correct. But the style they were portraying in that last movie with Will Smith's son was not karate. But the confusion calling that the Karate Kid when you acting
Mhm.
practicing kung fu, so to speak. And anyone who is in the
So a
martial
little
art
back.
realm,
I'm gonna little,
let me
go ahead.
finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish. Anyone
Go ahead. Go ahead.
in the
I apologize.
martial art arena will have an issue with that, whereby you have to deliberate what style are you practicing? Are you practicing karate with Okinawa clan, or Shitoryu, or Chutokai, or Goju karate, or Okinawa karate, or you practice something from Kung Fu, which is the Shaolin style, Northern or Southern style? You know that I didn't mention different style altogether because that's what the Will Smith movie. This one is trying to tie in the connection of Kung Fu and karate origin, which I would give it a pass. But the one we did with Will Smith, I would not give it a pass. That's my thing.
Yeah,
So
but
a little back.
Riddle.
Go ahead. You go first.
All I was gonna say is riddle me this: why did they wait 15 years to freaking make this correction?
That is a good
But
point. So backstory on the Will Smith movie. Originally, it wasn't supposed to be named Karate Kid. It was supposed to be named the Kung Fu Kid. But it was an upraise. The guys who the company that owned the rights to Karate Kid says no, 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 we're not doing that. Blah blah blah. Jackie Chan had mixed feelings about this because he really wanted to name it Kung Fu, but also respect for Pat. Man, what's his name? Who played Mr. Miyagi? Pat. Elf, help me out. You better
I
name. Him. Say again?
no, I forget.
I forgot how
Mr.
to pronounce his
Miyagi.
name.
Yeah,
I know
that's
you're
all I.
Mr. Miyagi.
Give me
But the
one
thing
quick
is,
second.
I have an
Right now.
issue. It wasn't because
He
of
was
that
play.
more so of Will Smith part of
Pat Mortina.
Yeah,
Yeah, some shit like that. So they did it out of respect for his memory, kind of thing. And I understand that, but still, if you watch this movie overseas, it's not called a Karate Kid; it's called a Kung Fu Kid. And on a lot of scenes that we had, they've been taken out and added with different scenes because of the culture. There's different versions for every culture, and I'm like, wow, I was a little thrown off of that for a minute. I know, Dave. I know you're not a fan of that stuff, but it was interesting how they did it. There was a different version for China versus the American version. You see where
But the
I'm going
thing
with this,
is,
guys?
I know, but the thing that Will Smith wanted to be like the Black Karate Kid. I know it's based on what part of it. That could be
Mhm.
a reason because his son was in it. But anyone who was in martial art heavily, when I mean heavily, either they grew up in it, they practiced it, they went through the rigorous ass whooping. Everybody who did martial art, either be karate, shitoryu, or kung fu, whatever. You go through an initiation, you get some ass whooping to learn the basics. What is it? Get your sensei kicking your chest, but you didn't do it properly. You didn't get the squat properly. You didn't do the stand properly. I've been through all that. So when I see somebody do this type of bullshit, you think I'm going to accept it? Oh, hell no. I know the dumb public would, but those who understand the fundamental would not. And the fact I'm hearing
Like
that
I
it was
give you a good example,
called,
David.
I know, but the fact that I'm hearing that it was called Kung Fu Kid outside the United States, it just proved my point why they ain't being dumbed down over here.
So you know the scene in the beginning of the movie that Chucky Chan beat up all the bullies?
Hmm.
They took that out completely and added a different scene for the Chinese version. And and I understand why they did it because of the culture is different over there. I don't have to agree with it, but it is what it is. But anyway, let's get into the show. I'm gonna give the floor to L first. Marvel
Yeah.
versus Justice League. Go for
Well,
it.
wait a minute. The Avengers versus the Justice League. I thought that's what we're not Marvel versus the Justice League. But
Oh,
then
I'm sorry,
again,
I said it wrong. I apologize. Avengers versus Justice League. I apologize. Go for it, man.
but then but then again, I'm sitting here scrolling through the Avengers roster, and I there's not too many people that haven't been uh in the Marvel universe haven't been on the Avengers. So I the only thing I can say is before we do the deep dive is if you go off of the Justice League versus the Avengers crossover from 2003 2004, Justice League wins, and it's quite simply and why we need to establish what roster we're going with is quite simply between Superman and Wonder Woman. They negate Thor because they're both considered worthy, so they can pick up Mjolnir. So there goes that. First time Thor throw. Yeah, yes. First time Thor throws Mjolnir at, like, say, Superman, he catches it and wings it right back at him and KOs freaking Thor. Well, there goes their one of their big hitters.
Man, am I the
Uh,
only person who's not on a Superman team? I'm like anti-Superman person here only.
I mean, normally I'm a Marvel, a Marvel guy, but I'll tell you this right now, depending on which roster you pull, um, I mean, and without going, well, Batman would prepare for everything.
Yeah.
No, because Tony Stark does pretty much the exact same thing. I mean, Tony Stark's got freaking the Hulkbuster armor. Tony Stark's got freaking you name it. He's got some sort of armor to fight it. Kind of same way with Batman. So those two
Mhm.
basically negate each other. Um, who else?
All right.
Captain
Uh,
America. He d-
give me 1 second. Let me get to the next person here, and I'll get you back
sure,
on.
sure,
Right,
sure.
okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president, Mr. President. How you doing tonight?
Tired, but I'm here.
All right.
Yeah, I
So
feel you.
go ahead, finish what you're saying. I'm sorry now.
No, I'm just saying that the Justice League, again, based off of which roster you're pulling, the Justice League's got heavier hitters. Um, Marvel's already acknowledged that the Flash is faster than any of the Marvel Universe's speedsters, and usually the Justice League has at least one of the four freaking Earthbound Green Lanterns on the team. I'm sorry, the Avengers get their asses whooped by the Justice League.
Hmm. All right. No, noted. David, go ahead.
I'll have to be technical here.
No, of course you do.
What Angry Elf said is right on the money. If you had to look at the roster, it kind of sucks when he's put it out there. You start from the top. Tony Stark, in the gate, Batman, clear right there and there. There have been multiple
Yep.
debates throughout the years about who is better between Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne. So that is taken out of the equation. You bring up Thor, then you have Superman and Wonder Woman. I just laid on Wonder Woman because first and foremost, she's of a warrior class Arizona, and their code of ethic they live by all means. It's not about her catching the hammer. It's more like snatching it. Like, okay, you don't deserve this kind of thing. Because based on the qualification of Mima, how you can hold that hammer, yeah, you consider to be worthy, meaning a level of purity. Who is not the purest person on the Justice League roster than Wonder Woman? I'll wait until you tell me that part. That is a cheat code right off the back. She the warrior that hold herself almost rival that of Captain America, but she's Amazonian. Amazonian is not considered to be a regular human being. They're close to being an immortal. So that right there just negate that part. They won't be in Captain America. There are too many people in the roster of the Justice League that can rival Captain America and then some. So there's no point on doing that. Anyone else, the roster of the Avenger, either be outclassed or outflanked. So there not much people have joined the Avenger. They want to put the Black Panther, yeah, the Black Panther, but still, there's other people who rival Batman on the DC side who also part of the Justice League will negate the Black Panther as well. So kind of like what he said, based on the roster, we have been exposed to the huge roster the Justice League had and Justice League Unlimited. So if you want to play roster, Avengers don't have much to play with. There you go. So it's kind of one-sided of a battle. And you want to throw in the Hulk. Yes, he's going to be the trump card, but there are too many people on the Justice League side that could either trump down the Hulk too as well. So it's kind of like it's an unfair advantage
Hmm.
the way I look at it because I've watched DC a lot. I look at Marvel a lot. Avenger, Justice League. It's more like throughout the year they overloaded the Justice League roster more than Avenger add more to their roster. It's going to be clear about that.
Yeah, but the Avengers basically. I'm scrolling through the roster. There's not too many heroes in the Marvel universe that are not on the Avengers or been an Avenger. I mean, shoot, even Deadpool is an Avenger.
I didn't know that. I
So
didn't know that. Paul, you want to go next?
Um, yeah, this is going to be hard to answer because again, which rosters are we talking about? Are we talking about the DCEU versus the MCU? Are we talking about the core teams going back to the original Avengers, which was Iron Man? You can't even put Captain kind of came in late, so it was Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Ant Man, and Wasp. So that was like the original team. And then who was the original Justice League? Now again, I only go back to the Super Friends of 1973. So again, you had the core four. You had Aquaman, Batman, Superman. Robin, I guess, was a sidekick, but you had those. So if that's what we're going to compare, then we could certainly go in that direction. So again, which you got to give me some boundaries in terms of which teams are you going to compare, so in order for us to make that calculation.
All right, let's go off the original comic books, the original roster. Let's start with that.
Hmm.
Okay, so the original team of, like I said, the original Avengers from the '60s, I guess whenever they're assembled together versus the combination of Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Batman. Is
Mhm.
that is that my understanding of what the original Justice League was, or is
I'm
that something?
no, I'm trying to find um the original Justice League roster. You're spot on with the original Avengers roster. Um, I'm trying to find who. Let me redefine this. Um, roster. Here we go. The original. All right. The original members of the Justice League were Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, Martian Manhunter, and said Green Lantern. And I'm going to assume Hal Jordan.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, so
um,
so
yeah.
I think that makes a difference because I
Does.
think the Justice League roster I think has more heavy hitters on it. than
Absolutely.
the and even if you were to add Captain America to that roster. So you got kids. Let's say even if you kind of pair them off, I think Captain America versus Batman. I think Captain America wins 10 times out of 10. I think he's as strong. He's stronger than Batman. He's as arguably the best fighter hand to hand combat in the MCU. Now they say Batman has mastered 127 styles of martial arts or whatever, but again, Captain America has unlimited stamina. And if you talk now, I'm talking about just hand to hand. Now, if you want to give him tools, if you want to give him the shield and whatnot,
Mhm.
I think it's hands down. But if you want to talk about just with no weapons and just Batman versus Cap, I think Cap wins 10 times out of 10. I don't think it's I don't think it's close. But
Now,
outside of that, well, hey, let me. You had your.
sorry, sorry, sorry.
You had your.
Alright.
Okay. All right.
David, I'm sorry, I gotta do it.
Ah,
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
Do not interrupt the
So
president again.
right.
You be in
I
timeout.
But if you're
apologize,
gonna
my
add
big
in,
brother.
beings like the Flash or like say Green Lantern, they can certainly do things that would trump up anything that Stark would do or the Pyms would do.
mhm.
Hank Pym or Wasp would do. So then you have Thor, and I think David did make a good point. That certainly Wonder Woman. Now again, hand to hand, if Wonder Woman could she wield a millionaire? Um, I that I think she could, but I don't know how to because there's people who you would think should have been able to wield Mjolnir. I mean, the entire Avengers team you would think should be able to wield Mjolnir, but they couldn't. So I don't know if it's a given that she can pick up or let alone take Millionaire away from Thor. But I think that's almost a standoff. Wonder Woman versus Thor. Yes, I know he can control the elements and thunder, lightning and whatnot, but you're talking about Greek god versus Norse god or whatever. Almost like that's a toss up. Hulk versus Superman. What's that?
Greek always wins. You know this.
Well,
Hulk
hold on.
versus
David, give me let Paul finish, and I'll give you the floor
Okay,
because I know
I
you're
know
jumping
that.
up and down.
I
I
know. I
feel
was
the
like
I
confused.
feel the earthquake from here.
Hulk versus Superman. I mean, obviously that's been drawn out several different times. Again, it's confusing because again, the powers and abilities of each character have been augmented over time. And so again,
I agree.
which where are you going to slide to basically these guys have planet busting abilities or what they were originally was Hulk in the 60s and Superman and certainly from the 40s or whatever. Where does this end? I think Superman might be certainly smarter than the Hulk, and I think he might be able to outwit him in certain ways, and put him in situations that would be certainly more uncomfortable for him. So yeah, I just with those teams that you mentioned, I have to give those guys. I think the advantage Aquaman or I mean that uh I think he'd be powerless out of water. I mean, or I think his powers, from what I understand, his powers actually get weak. He's almost like Submariner, where his powers get weaker the more he's out of the water. So again, a lot of it would depend on where the fight is going to take place. But on land, I think he would certainly subside over time. But yeah, I would have to give it to the Justice League. The only thing else I would say is uh, the Avengers tend to have the smartest people, though. So I think that would be something that they could certainly use and leverage to their advantage. With
All right,
so
uh, David, go ahead because I need to do something
Now,
to make
let me
earthquakes.
revisit back my argument concerning Thor versus Wonder Woman. We were saying it will be canceled out too easy. Let's not forget, Wonder Woman have the lasso of truth. There had to be a reason why she hold that type of weapon for a particular reason. Lasso of truth, Neudor. Don't you think they had the same fundamental in a way? Neudor, before you can hold it, you gotta consider to be worthy. You gotta have some level of purity. It's not correct. One woman have the lasso of truth. None of the animals doing was able to hold that except for her. Why? It's because of the quality of a warrior she was. She imitated a level of purity. This is why I call that a easy cancellation off the bat, because she will take it up. If anything, if anything, Thor was having problem before he can pick up Mito, because at one point he wasn't pure. He wasn't considered worthy at one point. He had to get him there back on that level. Now, God forbid, Wonder Woman decided to use the last one too on his behind and bring back the
Hang on,
past.
but what reference are you using for the Thor reference?
When Thor became
Don't
unworthy,
pant. I'm asking a legitimate question.
You actually good because yes, I'm waiting. It's mixture between the comic book and the movie. But I realized in the comic book, Thor was given the hammer for a specific reason. But at one point, his father, Odin, made him be clear for anyone to pick up the hammer had to be considered to be worthy. There was another time within the comic book where Billy Ray, another alien dude who was almost considered to be an Thor, was considered to be worthy as well, which is
Mm.
based on a level of purity.
But we agree that originally he was given the hammer
Mhm.
without the enchantment, and he used it for a certain period of time before Odin gave the enchantment because he got too full of himself and he had to put the enchantment on there. He essentially had to win that back. We agree on that.
I agree on that part. Now I
Okay.
understand that very clear. But on when the enchantment still has not been removed from the hammer, more than likely Wonder Woman was still able to wield that thing easy.
and Thor has become unworthy since the enchantment been on there. After the 2011 original Sin storyline, Thor became unworthy. That's when Jane Foster became the Mighty Thor, and for a while, Thor was running around just with an enchanted battle axe, and Jane Foster was the Marvel Universe Thor. And yes, there was Billy Ray uh, Beta, but
There you
he
go.
got the powers of Stormbringer when he did pick up the hammer. Odin deemed him worthy and gave him additional powers. So, uh, yeah, that was a fight between those two, and in the fight, he picked up the hammer, and everybody was shocked, going, "Oh!" So that's
So
a
two
that's a
things
different set of
really fast.
circumstances.
And Elf, I need to pick your brain from Annie here because I don't remember correctly.
Yeah,
So X-Men, were they in the original roster or not?
original roster of the Avengers.
Just yes, yes, yes.
I mean, the only one that the only two that have been full time Avengers was Beast was an Avenger for a while in the late 70s, early 80s. And then Wolverine joined the new Avengers in the early 2000s. There have been other X-Men that have come and gone, briefly. Like Storm's been on the Avengers, Rogue has led the Uncanny Avengers, things like that. But the two prominent ones were Beast and Wolverine.
The reason I was asking because my mindset was going to is with Superman. One person who could maybe capture his mind was Doctor X. Can mind control him, and then he's useless. But in the
Now,
same
I got
time,
a better one. I got a better one for you. Any of the magic wielders in the Marvel universe could easily take down Superman. One of his big weaknesses after Kryptonian, or excuse me, Kryptonite, is
It's magic.
magic.
It is. And
Superman
Sh-
is
and
Doctor
Shazam
Strange
was his
or
and Shazam was his counterpart that put to help him out on that area. Remember that I mentioned one
right.
time before, Superman could not beat Black Adam.
Yeah, because of the magic aspect.
so
Yep.
my Google search here says the only person who can actually come close hand to hand combat to Superman that can actually outpower him and outbeat him is Thanos. Believe it or not, I was surprised with that.
Well, that makes
Thanos,
sense for both aliens.
not that they're both alien, but the thing that using the if you talk about the gauntlet added to it, it's a no-win situation. Superman's not winning. I asked my personal assistant, my AI assistant, and they gave me a list of the blend of the roster for the Avengers. That included Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Vision, and Spider-Man. That's 10 for the Avengers. And for the Justice League, they give me Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Barry Allen, Aquaman, Green Lantern, that's Hal Jordan, Man, Martian Manhunter, Cyborg, Zatanna, and Showdown. Now,
Hmm.
based on this, I said, let me get a rundown, and it broke it down in detail. They said more than likely Justice League win this spot. And I know
Yeah.
it's far more than just that alone, but the variables, some of the variables, like I said, you mentioned right off the back, the roster, what roster go, and this one it did pick a blend. Now with the Paul Bennett is totally correct. You have to look at what roster based on what year, what class of them. Because throughout the decade, the list for the Avenger and the list for the Justice League have changed multiple times, which is
And
correct.
and here's another problem is with Marvel has not reset their entire timeline yet. They've created offshoots like the Ultimate Universe and a couple other things, but DC has reset their timeline or their continuity. I can think of at least three times.
Yeah, I was about
Um,
to say the same thing 3 times a minimum.
After the Crisis of Infinity Earth, after the 52, and then when they came out of the 52 and then their current continuity. There might have been one or two others, I forget, but every time they reset the continuity like this, they change power sets and make somebody a little bit stronger, decrease. Like, for instance, you know, Wonder Woman, can she or can she not fly? I mean, she's got the invisible jet, right? But depends on the error that you're talking about, she can fly or she can't. So
Like the
that's,
movie
I
version,
mean,
she doesn't
that's,
fly.
huh?
The movie version, she doesn't fly at all.
No.
No, she kind of cheats. She kind of like, but yeah, she technically she can't fly like Superman can just, leap and he's, in the sky flying it, whatever it is, how fast he can go. So
Okay. This is gonna be a tough battle
Yeah.
because
I wanted to push back on something that
I
David said.
go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
When David was talking about the lasso. So again, I've been looking at various sources to try to get a sense of could Wonder Woman, because she's one, she can wield it. But from what I'm seeing, there's been storylines that have been where anybody can use it. Now she may have a certain connection to it, other than other people, and maybe get more out of it. But ordinary people have used the lasso of truth. From what I'm seeing from different references and people calling out,
Hmm.
that's been used in
okay.
storyline. So I don't know if it has a special enchantment that would then automatically means that she's worthy to live Mjolnir.
See,
Okay, I get you.
as much as I'm a huge Marvel fanboy, this hurts. This hurts the ego to say this right now. Every goddamn Google search I've done says Justice League has win it hands down. It shut up, David. Mostly because of one person, Superman. That's it. David,
he,
I'm gonna whip you. So, and that hurts my ego very hard because I am wearing a Asian Shears t-shirt. I'm a huge looking back. I got all Avengers stuff. This is hurting my ego right now. This is why I want to see Q on here. I need another Marvel fanboy on here.
But here the issue. The thing about Superman throughout the years, I know and we will agree, is the fact that they never really flesh out all his strength and his ability. They keep making it as if there's so much behind the door. So, like, of all the variation of Superman, we have seen that the fact that, quote unquote, he haven't tapped his full potential. Why? I don't know. He have other ability. In some comic book, they found that he have a new ability that radiate based on his long-term exposure to the sun that generate a new. It's like saying, okay, hold on, how much ability are you going to stack on this individual to the point it getting pointless?
and that was a comment that I was about to make was Superman is overpowered. He's always
Absolutely.
been overpowered. Like the argument is why can't Superman like clean up the entirety of the DC universe in a matter of hours? I mean, he's got super speed, he's got super strength, he's got this, that, and the other thing. He could solve all the world's problems before I can finish completing the sentence. And
And
but
that makes you
you know,
wonder in a way. Let's take a different approach to this. If Superman is so powerful, why hasn't he taken out most villains out of the equation? Like
because
he
it's his
can literally
moral.
just fart on them and go,
But so when they fall back onto that question, it's his upbringing by Ma and Pa Kent that he's got a huge moral compass. You want to see a version of Superman without a moral compass? Go look at
The Red Son.
was it Ultimate Man, Ultraman, the the crime syndicate version of Superman. The antithesis of Superman. Or
he was in a
go
black
watch a
suit right
movie
back then, right?
like Blackburn or Brightburn. That's basically the what would happen if Superman became a villain or was born a villain. So yeah, he's got his moral compass, and that's why he won't. It's the same thing with Batman. Why he won't kill. You know,
That is true. And my biggest issue with this, he have a moral compass, yeah. He had a level of restraint on himself, yeah. But there's a lot of time it's so contradictory. Whereby one, when you fighting with dark side, you're not even on Earth. You're on its turf. There should be no moral compass. You should not restrain yourself. But too many times I ask this question: what are you trying to point out that this guy is overpowered, but yet when you have villains who are whooping his ass on another level outside the realm of the earth, he's not allowed to unshackle whatever is holding him back. And why is that? That's where the contradiction comes to play. The thing that you mentioned with Batman. Batman is like the biggest contradiction. Second to that is Superman. And as many times you and I have seen comic book where different writers are trying to portray the issue between Batman contradiction and Superman contradiction. And for some apparent reason, Batman always ahead before Superman. To the point that the comic book were about Batman decide to quote unquote prevent Superman from losing his mind by taking out the Joker. And I've seen the clip of it on YouTube short several times and I've not paid attention. Okay, something's wrong here. Because many times different writers who write either Batman comic book or Superman comic book, almost as if you don't want to unlock their full potential for some apparent reason, or there's a level of contradictory that you're not trying to put out. I'm just saying. Because Darkseid whooping this guy ass several times over. And you telling me he's omnipotent, he's broken, but yet you get your back broken by somebody else? Make it make sense. Am I wrong, MGL? Please let me know.
I mean, no, it's just how they write it, and that's the other way they drum up drama on these stories. You know, um, but yeah, I mean, it's you go back and look at Doomsday versus Superman the first time. You know, and the way they get around that is they establish that whatever Doomsday cannot be killed slash defeated the same way twice. That is basically his superpower. However, he was killed the first time, he can't be killed the same way twice. And so that's how he continued to, be able to beat Superman. And Superman had to
Before
come
we
up
move
with different
on,
ways to defeat him.
uh, before we move on, we got a new person checking out our stream, I
Detective.
believe. This is called the Hangout Show. We debate different kind of pop culture. Today we're talking about Avengers versus Justice League. We debate who's the best, who's the worst, and so on. We talk anything pop culture here, from movies to anything like that. David, do I get any comment slap you over there? Thank you.
Hold on. Form blazing middle finger.
Form pushing button.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
But Angry Elf, I mean, this point
Go
you
ahead.
mentioned earlier about Batman killing. Again, they keep vacillating on that, right?
Oh yeah.
The original Batman killed people. Batman 89, he killed people. Justice League, I think he killed some people. So why, like, you have a lot of people want to hang on to this thing? Oh well, Batman doesn't kill people. Like, where is that? It's
It's a
only in certain
cartoon verse. That's what
iterations,
it
but
is.
it's not always the
Correct.
case. So why do we keep holding on to it?
It,
We're
it,
talking about
but
an outright battle between Marvel and I mean Avengers
it,
and for this is for all the marbles. This is So
oh yeah.
I would say we have to take the gloves off.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if this was something like whoever wins this battle, their universe survives. The loser, freaking their universe is wiped clean off the slate. You know, and something like whatever omnipotent being decides to do this, pulls both teams onto a battlefield, and it's like go at it. Of course. I mean, it would have to come down to the point of like, and these heroes, we're fixating on the Justice League a little bit, but like Captain America won't kill unless he has to. Spider-Man, if we're putting Spider-Man on the Avengers, Spider-Man has a strict no kill rule. He has violated it, and in media, you know, uh, Green Goblin has died both in the comics and in the movie, but that was based off of circumstances. But Spider-Man typically doesn't kill. Um, Tony Stark has killed, but he's regretted it. Um, so I can see,
There are very few
yeah. But if
characters out there who actually took a life. Very
what's
few.
that?
There were a few
Oh yeah,
characters on both rosters that took a life. Very few of them. Not many, but few. And I'm actually glad having oversaturate the killing in the comic book series, even in movies too, because it kind of kills the purpose of being a superhero if you're taking everybody's life. Like Deadpool, I think is the only example to that rule because the guy's not case. Let's be honest, fun night case, but not case.
but Deadpool is not truly, well, nowadays he is because of his popularity. But
Mhm.
Deadpool technically started off as a villain, then slowly became an anti-hero, and now he's constituted as a hero. Um, Same thing with Wolverine. Wolverine has absolutely killed people.
Mhm.
I mean, he's a straight up murderer.
Oh,
And
I got you. If you think about how long he's been on the planet, so he started what? Evolutionary. He was born. Was it around there?
No,
Right.
it was
no,
in the 1800s in Canada.
yeah,
Thank you.
it was like 1850s because the first war that I'm aware that he served in was the American Civil War.
Yeah.
So
Vince
that
was
if that's
Which,
the
by the
case,
way, I still think as many problems as I had with Wolverine Origins, that opening is still one of the best out of in cinema history for me. I love that opening. They go through all the
Oh
war transitions and
yeah,
whatnot from they said the Civil War all the way up through Vietnam. I love that how they put that together. That was beautiful.
Oh, I totally
now
agree on that. The
now
opening was
here
awesome.
here here the question about the killing part. You have Black Widow and you have Hawkeye. Are they not higher assassins?
Yeah, especially Black Widow's past. That's what she was
with the
paid to
Red
do.
Room.
So yeah.
I mean, she was a Russian assassin. Um, you
As
know,
well
uh,
as well as Hawkeye.
Hawkeye was a villain. He was less of assassin and more of a thief. But yes, I mean, in fact, shit, half the Avengers roster are villains in some sort. I mean, Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch started off as freaking part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
So let me ask you guys a question. Do
Um,
you think Green Arrow versus Hawkeye both
Oh
have
man,
similar abilities? Who do you think has the upper hand in that one?
I'm sorry.
who's the
It would,
writer?
it would be more like Green Arrow because the way they built out Green Arrow, he came from an organization whereby they train people of his caliber. Even though Hawkeye is
yeah,
almost similar, but Green Arrow have a much deeper history.
Hmm.
I mean,
So it's more like
plus
Green Arrow would take this one.
the other thing is Green Arrow is another millionaire, billionaire, or whatever. So he's got money on his side. It's that whole argument who would win between Batman and freaking Iron Man. Whoever's got the biggest checkbook at the moment, whoever can throw the most money at it. That's seriously what it is, you know. So that's
That's
but
how
yeah,
like
I mean,
hold on. That's how like a trust fund baby battle.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know,
Hey Wally, don't shake your head. You were thinking the same thing too, so don't go
All
there.
right, you know what, guys? Hey, time out here. Let's get Wally in here really fast. All right, Wally, you're up, man.
Well, I was wondering where this was going so far as how did this build-up started. I'm guessing there was no setup framework, but yeah, you just got to throw your shot somewhere. But yeah, I said that. Literally, I said that. I literally said that. Because let's be honest, these groups both started somewhere, so you start from there at least. We want to talk about fighting somebody. So yeah, I'm gonna start there. But as far as where y'all at with it, I mean, honestly, these fights are all very, very obvious. I mean, again, both okay. You want to talk about Green Arrow versus Hawkeye? Both of them very skilled archers and everything else. Honestly, though, when you want to talk about as far as upbringing and what they had to go through and deal with, Green Arrow winning. Hello, Ra's al Ghul. Have fun with that. You haven't shown me nobody Hawkeye's ever got to. Now, maybe on Ronin terms, okay, now he probably gets some decency. But at that point, no, it's too late. It's too late. Green Arrow's already been on Ronin terms. You already deal with Deathstroke and everything else, and all that other stuff. Have fun. That's one thing. Now you're talking about Batman versus Iron Man. I don't even put that as who has the best money. Again, who has the technology to disable somebody else? Have fun with that. Because let's be honest, Batman has shown already he's able to disable Cyborg like it ain't nothing. You think he can't do the same thing to Iron Man? Okay, fine. All right. And yes, and that's not pre-prepping. That is just common sense of simple electro wiring and just tagging him with something and then call it a day. Because I guarantee you this: if we're talking about just straight up just nuking somebody, if Batman had no other problem just tossing a nice little tiny bomb right at his freaking chest, I say adios to you. And then from there, well, then you just pick everyone else as far as where the competition flies. I hear that the only major threat was Superman as far as DC wise. Okay, I know I was mostly joking. Like, what was it? Wednesday when we mentioned the show. But let's be real. There is really one major threat that no one doesn't really give a lot of credit to because he's too goofy. The Flash. If everyone remembers, if I speed my hand and put it in your chest and rip your heart out, don't make this up. Like literally, if that dude literally shakes and stick it in, you're dead. Over with. I want to hear you. Plus, let's be honest. Between him, Quicksilver, I never heard Quicksilver had that type of ability. That's out the door. And let's be honest, he's raping mostly everybody if he does that. So if you're not slowing him down any other way, shape, and form, it's a long day for you. So, yeah. As far as just giving fair competition to Superman, like I said, in some decency of respect, technically, if they were to classify Thor's lightning as magic, well, then that's the fair fight he gets. But let's be honest. I hope you have Millionaire, but let's be honest. When you have a moving target like Superman on an equal standstill to Thor, you better have him at Millionaire standpoint because at that point, that's the only time your Thunder is really that strong. With that said, yeah, this is a nice classical fucking rape.
All right. Took this a little different turn than I expected right now.
Hello.
Like
I mean,
you said
literally, the only
earlier,
one you have.
you're not accepting the fact that the Justice League would win.
Clearly,
Yeah.
the only thing you
Um,
have on Marvel, the only fair thing you have, and this is like after the fact. If we're talking about baseline, just baseline Avengers. I mean, baseline Avengers is already dead. Literally, baseline Avengers is already dead. I mean, let's be honest. Look, if we're talking about just from TV adaptation, hold on. If we're talking about just from TV adaptation, you had Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye. Okay. So again, I already told you Hawkeye versus Green Arrow if that's one of the many. Now, technically from TV/movie animation, technically Green Arrow is not in the fix right now, but even then, whoever you line it up with, Hawkeye's still losing. Black Widow. Let's be honest here. Who wants to see a woman fight? Last time I checked, she's going to lose against Wonder Woman. Have fun with that. Okay, you want to say the Hulk. Again, you have Superman there. That have fun with that, sir. Because let's be honest. Again, if Thanos can make you look like a whimpering bitch and make you hide in your human body and cry like a little girl, Superman. If you choose to make him that type of person, it's just gonna be a long day for you. Let's keep going. Let's see what else is there. I already spoke on Flash. It don't really matter who it is. He's chest freaking everybody. Thor, like I said, a fair fight for Superman at this point. If you put him and Hulk against Superman, whatever. Batman, it all really depends on what you really want to do here. But honestly, the only matchup he has as a fair matchup in combat, just because of synthetics, is Captain America. But honestly, without synthetics, Captain America ain't nobody. Miss me with it. I said it.
What do you mean without synthetics?
Remember, Captain America was juiced up.
Right.
Batman was just all what? Was straight up. Without juice, Captain America is who?
Well, there is no Captain America. He's Steve Rogers. So, but
exactly.
You but I'm saying no. In a hand, so take the weapons, take the gadgets out of it. They're in karate gis or topless or whatever. They're in an octagon. Cap wins 10 out of 10.
Right, because of juicing. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
But scrawny Steve Rogers wouldn't be there if he was scrawny Steve Rogers.
So you got to take it.
But again, how did he got there? Because of juicing. Thank you. I don't hear
So what? So we wouldn't have Batman if his parents didn't die. What point is that?
Yeah,
no.
I mean, what point is it? No, there would be no Batman. There would be no Batman if his parents weren't murdered.
People I can't stand. I can't stand this. Y'all ride behind somebody on a small little thing. Again, you're only a hero because of a needle injection. Batman is at least a hero because he actually put work in.
No.
What the frick is that?
Captain America put work in. No, Captain America has trained with high level. He is as competent as a fighter in the entire Marvel universe. The guy fights. He spars with Shang-Chi. Okay. He spars with Shang-Chi.
He ain't nobody.
He spars with Shang-Chi. All right. So I mean, again, give Cap his props. You can't say he's just a juice. He's just a juice head.
Miss.
You're a bug.
Miss. I'm my business. Miss.
You a bugging.
Miss.
Okay, if you want to
Technicality, not a technicality.
then fine. Then give Batman back the Venom that he had.
Why would I give him the Venom?
Well, then he's on the same scale as Captain America by getting juiced.
Juiced by what means?
Batman was on Venom
at one point
for a short period of time.
But for the usual time, still natural buildup.
Yeah, but
he used Venom against Bane.
Again, one time versus a natural buildup, almost all the time. Miss me. No.
The technicality is crazy.
But again, that's all part of Captain America's origin. Before that, he was a.
You ain't got it built in you like that. You ain't him. Again, if you talk about
take away Batman's parents, he never would have went through that. He never would have shown himself to be a hero. Where are we going with this? Where are we going this? Why are we doing this?
Calm down, dude.
I can. I can't.
Why are we doing this, man?
I
That's
can't.
like saying
That's
that like
why
I mean-
Superman
I can't.
Superman
don't
never came
know.
to
If
Earth.
Krypton,
That's-
yeah, if Krypton wasn't
Only-
blown up, we'd have no
remember,
Superman
the only
either.
reason he got
I
the
mean, what's
skill
the-
set
what's
that
the
he has
point?
is because of juicing. No, you know what I mean?
You've reached
You ain't
your
put the work
limit on
in. You
talking.
ain't put the work in.
So what?
No.
Superman
no.
gets juiced by the yellow sun. All right. If there was
Yep.
no yellow sun, there'd be no Superman. Turn the sun red, and it's over
That's
for
not
him.
my
Also,
problem. Now he's born like that. What the heck am I supposed to do with that?
he's been artificially planted on this planet. So he's just an average
I mean,
Kryptonian. He's got nothing going on.
And
Look,
there's-
everybody
and
has an
there's-
edge. Everybody has an
At least
advantage.
Superman has multiple
Superman
weeks.
is ordinary anywhere else outside of a yellow sun.
Yeah, Superman
You
goes
know
off
what? You're
any
right. And that's
point
because
away
based
from the yellow
upon what
sun, he
terms?
becomes-
That's based upon what
Because-
terms? That's based upon terms of location. Hey, at least there is terms on him. But my things again, we're talking about an everyday human being versus an everyday another human being. But one human being actually worked to get the way he is. Another one just took a shortcut.
No,
It's me.
okay.
Miss
Then,
me.
then
Miss
then you
me.
take away all their abilities. Then let's just get 10 random people and fist
Ladies
fight.
and gentlemen, miss me.
Eric,
Miss
Eric,
me.
Eric, this not a
You
this
gotta
not a
scale it down
total.
a couple
Miss
notches,
me.
bud.
Eric,
Alright,
this not a
back
total
off a little bit
marshmallow.
there.
He has a
Look,
lot of
as far
potential.
as the fight,
You
look,
do-
as far
you
as the fight, it is gonna be what it is. It's already there, blah blah
Hey.
blah blah, whatever. But I'm
Eric,
just saying,
Eric,
I'm pointing
Eric.
out the obvious.
Hold
Be
on,
mad
hold on.
about it.
Let me speak to Eric. Eric, you say this is a total marshmallow. This is the type of debate concerning Avenger and Justice have been going on for decades. They go to the technicality, so you cannot blame him for this part. This is technical right here. He being technical.
I mean, how much times have I not been technical? Let's be honest. If you know what I did with the whole Dragon Ball conversation, you know what I was gonna do here.
Yeah, you lost the conversation there.
Guys,
You lost that conversation big time over there in anime.
yeah, exactly. Because you still can't win.
No, I don't need a win, my man. We all know who won. So
Not you. Not
Oh,
Goku.
Goku always won, dude. Don't even go there.
Yeah, Goku always won because of what?
Maybe Ultra Instinct.
No, because of writing and because of falsehood. Okay, thank you. Let's
Yeah,
be
okay.
honest. Again, I don't want to play these games. I don't want to play these games. You want to look at for what the writers wrote? Congratulations for you. I look at what's really being built, and let's be honest here. That's some bullshit. Goku is better. Let's be real about that. He should have never won that freaking battle at the Tournament of Power. He should have got baked.
I think you want to sleep with him.
Smacked up.
I think you want to sleep with Vegeta. Oh, nothing to say now, don't you?
You choose to be funny with these little sidebar, little jokey jokes, but personally, no, you're not flattering yourself with anything.
I'm
This is
actually
my point. This is my
I-
simple point right here. You, when it comes to points you can't beat, then you want to do that. Oh, you want to sleep with Vegeta, don't you? You want to be right in his room and be his little butt boy. Save the crack jokes for somebody else.
You think you're tough?
Because as much as you over here talking about Marvel, well, hey, I could say the same thing about that, but I don't. So, literally, save the crack jokes. for
I knew there's gonna be a battle because I noticed I've been in the type of argument on the Avenger, the Justice League. It's all based on the technicality. It always has been. Because I can't say Wally is wrong. And Mr. Paul, when you talk about Batman, that's what a event that trauma. That's a trauma. Talk about a trauma. I get it, but what he said it is technical because the same Jushin created the Red Skull.
Created what?
The same Jushin mentality created the Red Skull in Marvel. Remember,
Mhm.
Captain America Rival was actually part of Jushin,
The Red Skull.
and Buck Roger also part of Jushin. So we can't negate that's not a problem here. But on Batman's side, there was no juicing. It was straight building from ground up. He had to build a trend over time. He was
I mean,
brutalized.
the only fair game of juicing that you can use as an argument that I'll give you for sure is the Ra's al Ghul, the pit. Using the pit, that technically is a form of juice. I'll give you that type of fair notion to that.
Lazarus
That's one thing I
Pit?
would- Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, technically,
yeah.
in a sense, you got to think about it. It is sort of like
But the Lazarus Pit, the only thing it does is freaking essentially bring back the dead. It doesn't give
Well,
you any
no.
abilities.
I mean, it don't give you abilities, but well, I'm not saying like even the juicing gave you abilities. It just gave you some peak up stuff. But I'm saying the fact that the way how they showed it most of the times, it sort of gives you a nice little boost of youthness and just gets you re-staminized. So that's what I'm saying. Like in a sense, it's sort of like juicing. So that's the fairness I would give, because he did use that a couple of times. So I'm like,
And Green Arrow is very familiar with that too as well. I don't know about the Buckwater thing, but here's the thing: the super soldier serum has been the United States government issue on the title of Captain America, and when they did it with the Captain America, it was an issue because they knew that if any other country got onto it, they did. They had the Red Skull, we had Winter Soldier. That became a problem. And who was the only person that sung Captain America on his turf was Black Panther. He didn't do no juke. He was natural. But then again, you can call the
Now,
juicing part of the stuff they had to take the concoction. You will call that juicing. Then you can go there and be my case. You can add that to that. Like I said, there's a little controversy on that side of the plane. You want to be technical about it. I apologize for the Buckwater statement. But I'm just pointing out the obvious because that storyline between Captain America, Winter Soldier, Red Skull, and you add the Black Panther, all four of them somewhere along the line were using some kind of substance, so to speak. Batman, the only person who didn't use no substance. It was naturally built.
But I mean, Batman, in as far as how he is, wouldn't exist as a human being.
Not based on a trauma and event.
No. I'm saying his abilities. You're talking about he's supposed to have. He's the peak of human potential.
Mm-hmm.
The guy can bench press 1,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
He's also an Olympic class gymnast,
Mm-hmm.
as well as this martial. To do all of that and just be done by human. No human in history has ever done that or ever been that. You have gymnasts who aren't super strong. You have strongmen who bench 1,000 pounds. I'm around these guys. I know what they look like. They're not doing backflips and somersaults and jumping from buildings.
There's one bodybuilder who doing the same thing. He big and he sunk and he do backflip.
Not 1,000 pounds.
Okay, I'll give you that.
1,000-pound benchers are about 400 pounds. They got giant guts, and they don't look like the ripped, svelte bodies of anybody else. So again, if we want to say Batman is natural, again, where are we basing that on? I think DC, just like a lot of comics have done, they've taken these powers and abilities to unbelievable levels, even in Batman.
Absolutely.
And so to say, oh well, he's done it natural. No, because other people cannot do those things. It's physiologically impossible. Don't tell me you could be 1,000-pound bench presser and you're an Olympic class gymnast who can do all that kind of stuff. No, that does not exist. It's never existed in human nature. Yes, you've had people who bench 1,000 pounds. You've had people who have been gymnasts. You've had people who have been martial artists. Not all three together at the same time.
well, I would actually agree with you on that, because let's be real, that I think because there is a decency of a pointage. Because again, like Bane, I mean, let's be honest, if Bane nearly almost snapped you back and everything else,
And Bane was juiced.
right?
Yeah,
But my
exactly.
thing is to that point though. But that's what I'm saying. Like when I say that's what I'm saying, as far as being natural, like there is a limit I'm willing to go here. Like I don't think so. Like Batman's like a level 10 in strength. I think he's somewhere at least on a decent scale range of.
They say he can bench press 1,000 pounds.
Again,
There's very
but
few.
again, I don't even
There's
go by that.
0.001% of human beings on this earth that can bench press 1,000,
Hey, but I
and they
don't go
look
by
nothing
that.
like Batman.
Yeah, but I don't go like that for me. So I can understand that visual, because again, he don't move, he don't look the body frame of a 1,000-weighted guy.
He can't. No.
Well, that's what
So-
I'm saying. So
Right. So again, I think we're all kind of, again, we're using a sliding scale here.
I'm calling it for what. No, when I say natural, I'm not saying natural as far as what he's touching. Again, I do truly believe he's not at that peak of 10. I'm saying, like, if we're talking about just building your own way there, he built his own way there. That's all I'm saying.
But he can't build his way there. That's what I'm saying.
Well, as far as what they described him for, yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
Again, I'm giving you part of what you're saying, but that's what I'm saying. I didn't say 10. I'm saying give him something a little bit more reasonable.
Right.
That's
Based
why I
on
say
my,
this argument never end because there's so many variables if you look at it in detail. Like for example, Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch on the Marvel side of things, and you look on the other side, you have Shazam and you have Zatanna. How that one play out?
Well, like I
You're
said,
doing 2-on-2. No,
No,
Sorcerer
because
Supreme. The Sorcerer Supreme. I mean, he's taken down both of them, and Shazam doesn't. He has access to his powers because of magic. He he is not a spellcaster where Stephen Strange is the Sorcerer Supreme, and Scarlet Witch has access to heck magic, which is basically whatever freaking chaos and craziness that you can come up with. She can just go boogity boppity boo and do it.
yeah. What would she
Um,
do to? What would she do to Superman? We talking about if he's susceptible to magic. What would Scarlet Witch do to Superman?
I mean,
I mean, that
Fair
that
game.
would be.
I, I,
I mean,
she
at
could
most,
probably
that's mentality wise, a mental strain. I can't really say because again, I mean, well,
She could literally turn Superman against the rest of the Justice League if she wanted to.
she could do that.
yeah, if his
As
will
could,
wasn't that strong, yeah.
I mean, at the same time,
Or any
Doctor
of them. I mean,
Strange
she
could
can,
do some.
she can
Yeah,
have all of them fighting each other. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, she,
the,
because each person she affects differently based on their own trauma or whatever it is. Batman, she could definitely. Batman's already
Well,
screwed up.
but yeah, but there's
actually,
a thing with Batman though, because let's be real about one thing, because there's a lot of people that try to mind control Batman, and that technically cuts off eventually.
for
I
so
mean, now
many
granted,
reasons.
she's more stronger user, I think, so she'll have a fair shot. But usually, Batman has a negative connotation with people trying to control him.
I would,
They,
I would,
they, they
I would.
even say that death fear Batman, which I don't understand that part. They say death fear Batman. Make
Was
that
it
make
Death or
sense.
was it somebody
Well,
Death Man, or are
Constantine,
you talking about?
no, Constantine said the agent of death have an issue with Batman because for some reason he cheat death so many times. They say they're afraid of him. So
Yeah,
make that make sense.
and and with that being said, I would take Shazam out of that, and I would put John Constantine in his place. Then you're
Ooh.
dealing with somebody who's going to access dark magic, or yeah, somebody who's going to access dark magic, because Zatanna's not going to access that dark magic. Constantine's going to turn around and conjure up demons and shit and cause major problems, and then go, you know what? I'm going to deal with it after the fight's over. I just
And I and
summoned
I think
stuff straight
and I
from
think the
hell.
biggest issue on the other side is Doctor Strange because he bend reality. And since he had the ability to do such a thing, that's also another cheat.
I'm gonna throw a trump card here for a second.
Yeah,
So Iron Man is Tony Stark was one of the smartest men in the MCU this day, correct?
in
Yeah.
the Marvel universe, yes.
Yes, yes.
Well,
One
him.
of
Well, different specialities, but yeah, Stark, even Banner,
Banner.
and Pym. They're
Correct.
like the three smartest. I mean, the only other guy might be on that level is Mr. Fantastic, Reed.
Yeah,
So let's say somehow Tony figured out how to create kryptonite.
synthetic kryptonite. I mean, it's not as reliable.
But no,
They've
forget
played that game.
they
I
make
mean,
it in
Lex Luthor's played the game with synthetic kryptonite, and it didn't create the desired effect. So no, and so it would be
I don't remember
more.
that part to be honest with you, Angry Elf.
I'd have to go dig it up, but I know that yes, they've attempted to create synthetic kryptonite, and it didn't have the desired effect. So it would be somebody going off deep space and finding you know kryptonite floating around, or a meteorite comes to earth and they find it, similar to how Luther found it. I mean, the one thing that I would say would be the thing that could change the tide to the Avengers is somebody was able to break into the Batcave, access the Bat computer, and download Batman's contingency plans for dealing with
Each one of
the
them. Yeah.
Justice League. Why are you shaking your head, Wally?
We're going like 4 lanes here. Like
Why are you shaking your
it's
head?
like let's just make it easier for everybody. Like what world?
See,
That's
you see
that
what
is,
happened? You see what happened, Wally?
but
They said let's
but
target
that's
one
Rob,
person.
established.
David, stay out of it. Hang on. Let Rob speak.
That's established. The storyline Justice League battle, or excuse me, Babel, if I can word right, that whole storyline was based off the fact that Mirror Master being sent by, oh god darn it, what was his name? I'll have to Google it real quick. Um, Savage. No. Anyways, the long story
Yeah,
short,
Savage.
the villains got a hold of Batman's contingency plans for dealing with the Justice League, and they started implementing them. And
Right.
that was the culmination of that story. They were able to freaking win the day, but the Justice League kicked Batman off of the team because of that.
Right. The Justice League.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, we're talking about if two universes were to come into one location and duke it out, um, what chance would they really have to go to the next one, let alone find his home? Again, this is why I'm saying, like, this little tidbit of trying to find the
Well, I'm,
files just to know some weaknesses. But again, no. And even then, it's like you're gonna find what a couple of people's weaknesses, but at the end of the day, it's like Superman, Wonder Woman. I mean, you by the time you even get there, it's
You
like
only need the heavy hitters though. You take Superman and maybe Wonder Woman out of the equation. Yeah, I mean those are your trump cards pretty much. So again, I don't think you have to necessarily take out everybody, but you just need a couple key figures. Because again, who if you take Superman out of the equation, who's dealing with Hulk?
Wonder Woman.
No.
I mean,
I-
she's built for it though. That's just the honest truth. She's built for it. And then if not that, and then you also have still Aquaman on. I mean, now
And
I'm
you
not saying
actually
Aquaman can
and
handle
you
that.
actually
Don't get me
it
down
wrong.
depends
But
on if he's on land.
and
Unless you put it in the water, I'm not
and you
picking.
actually down.
I'm
oh
not
no, don't
picking.
get me wrong. I'm just saying. I said that's the only doable. I never say he could win. I'm just saying that's the only doable at that point.
You
Right.
have Shazam in the mix, so he's compatible to Superman. So it's kind of like strength to strength. He can be given like a run, but I think he will beat the Hulk. That one. Two. Martian Manhunter. This the guy who the shapeshifter, entitled with telepathy, strength, and he could go through matter. Now, that's another thing people keep sleeping on. His only weakness is fire. If you don't know that weakness, then a lot of
Well,
the
yeah, that's what I said. Like I
a
said, you
lot of
may not get every name out the database, but as long as you get, again, you just need some key figures. I don't think you need to
and
have
think
the
about
secret to beat
and think about
everybody.
Martian Manhunter, he can break down the most strongest person, regardless.
I think, but even with Martian Manhunter, in fairness, like with Scarlet Witch, I think that's like an equal to parity of fight. And even then, it's like maybe even between him and then the Vision is another
That's all I'm about to say. I
fight.
mean, he's
So it's
almost
like
like the equivalent of
right
Vision.
there is like there's a
oh yeah.
standalone. So
Yeah,
And
I
the
agree with
thing,
that.
the issue I have with the Flash is looking at the history and the origin of Flash to up to modern time. Flash, like you said, is totally correct. It's a broken character because not only his speed and he can vibrate through matter. You forget the fact that that the only speedster in any comic book reality that travels through time.
See, but that's
And
stupid. But see, but
and to me, let me explain why I say something is wrong with that. A person with that speed level, it's like saying, you know what? Before the battle starts, let me just go back in time and disable certain people before they ever come to the
yeah,
battlefield. That's kind of like a cheat right there
yeah.
because he is no different of a cheat than Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange can bend reality. This dude can go back in time and mess with your origin if you wanted to.
But it's been
yeah,
proven
but
if he goes back in time, he messes with the time force. Am I saying that right? Whatever
Or
it's
he
called, the
he had
time
Speed
force.
Force.
he had
personally,
access to the time force. That would give him the power and the speed. To the point whereby in the series he came like fused. Like at one point he had access and all of a sudden he became the speed force itself.
Speed Force. Yeah.
The speed force himself
That's the
because
word. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Speed force. But if you miss, everybody, it's been proven multiple times in any. I don't care what series you watch. You screw up the timeline. You can screw up. If you step on an ant when you're not supposed to, you can fuck up the whole timeline. You guys know I'm right on this one.
and I get that.
And
But I'm
that's
saying,
how
but
you
what?
got
But they keep.
Flashpoint.
but to me, Flash is like the biggest, I guess, change. Like I said, we all know these characters' powers have evolved over time. But I mean, the Flash in the 70s with Barry Allen, yeah, he could break the speed of sound, but not run at the speed of light. I mean, if you're just gonna make his speed to the infinite of the infinites, then again, it makes it less, less believable. So again, what Flash are we talking about? This infinitely
Well, again,
powered who can outrun time itself. I mean, it's like what's the point after a while when you have all the other speedsters that came from Jason Garrick, all those guys who came before him, they were all limited to, again, speed of sound, fast enough to run on water, without drown. That was it in the 70s into the early 80s, because I was a big reader of the Flash. And then they just went way beyond anything that was conceived since then. The whole idea of the Speed Force and everything. No, he was just fast. But then to explain this hyped up power, they just created the Speed Force. Like that was like a new wrinkle that they just threw into the story.
well, yeah. I mean, for me, I wouldn't really try to give Flash the idea of like time traveling back and forth just to hope to fight, because honestly, that's sort of like just it's just a little bit overdone. I think it'll just be sort of like a cheat, especially if Doctor Strange can just mind warp the whole battlefield, then just sort of change it or however. So it's like that would make it even complicated, even enough to even try to attempt. Because at that point, it's like the moment you try to do that, it's like okay, just change the battlefield and how it's all worked up. Because now it makes it more difficult to even use setting up that. But yeah, I wouldn't really try to implement that anyways whatsoever, because personally, that's just too much. I don't think so. You need to do that at the stage of what you can do and your abilities. So I don't think so. That's really needed. Is really just much of just catch you, because really there ain't no one that's really gonna catch you like that other than just try to slow you down or pretty much jag up your feet. So yeah, no, I don't think so.
Hey, why don't you jump into this for a little bit, because I know you got something to say. I can see in your face, David.
I don't know what to say because you know what I said earlier. While it's added on to the fact of it, there are a lot of complications to each of the characters. Even though you took on, let me be real with you. A lot of the comic book writers, especially on the DC side, either overflay the people ability or they add a little bit too much to the point of rivalry compared to the Marvel world. If you think about it. Remember what I mentioned earlier. Superman is supposed to be a broken character. So broken, he's also a walking contradiction. If he if he cannot be beat, but yet he get his butt kicked in by supervillain, he could have whipped that ass a long time ago. There's a problem with that issue. Batman, another walking contradiction. Not only that he's more comfort holding back, but this guy is a walking, talking kryptonite to every individual in the Justice League. You talk about Superman kryptonite is the problem? No, Batman is the kryptonite himself, hands down. They do have a contingency plan for everybody.
I mean, it said he does, but honestly, he really
No,
technically.
but when they look into it and they find out how bad it is,
I mean,
they're the comic book
that's the
part
thing
of
though.
it. They looked through the files and they was like
But let's be
flabbergasted. He
real.
got everything hands down.
Not really though. Okay. Here's what I'm putting down. Right. You said that there was a contingency for everyone. Not really. Wonder Woman is the only non-contingency because technically she is a goddess. So technically there is no contingency for her other than Superman. So go look back and go look videos into
Okay,
that.
I'll give you
That's
that.
proven. That is that thing proven. So there really ain't no contingency for Wonder Woman herself, honestly.
And even in the if by contingency, are we talking about the what was that movie that came out? Right at the beginning of the movie, he talks about these contingency plans. Or you talking about from the comics?
I mean, either which way. I mean,
Because I'm saying even in the movie where he goes over each one, some of these aren't necessarily contingencies. Some of these things is like, well, this could be effective. Like it wasn't like a guarantee that this would necessarily beat somebody. So, oh yeah, use fire on Martian Manhunter, he'll definitely get him.
right.
He said he has a fear, but it doesn't mean he can't overcome it. So it's like he
Right.
has
They're just
things you can
temporary
try,
gains.
but
Yeah, temporary gains. I mean, the only one person that was a contingency that actually was going to be effective was literally Superman with the kryptonite, but that's
Yeah.
only if you really stabbed them and really left them there to die. But
Yeah.
That's really it.
Because when I'm looking to my AI assistant, they're doing a matchup. Throw over to Shazam. That'll either be a draw or Shazam. That's what they're saying.
I did a
Mm,
similar thing too.
Hulk versus Superman. Superman win that one hands down. They say you
Hands
got Superman.
down.
They say Hulk make no. Let me tell you why I say that. They say Hulk may get stronger, but Superman has too many parts. I would say he's a walking contradiction. I remember the Batman. Batman won that argument. Scarlet Witch versus Zatanna. They say it's 50-50.
Wait, which one?
Scarlet Witch versus Zatanna. That's another person. She's a spellcaster on the DC side.
No, I know Santana, but
They say 50-50. It's almost even out.
uh, yeah.
But see,
Flash
here's the thing.
versus Flash versus Quicksilver or Spidey. They say Flash win that one hands down. Doctor Strange versus Green Lantern is very
Wait, you
close.
said Spider Man? Flash was the Spider
Quick
Man?
Flash versus Quicksilver / Spidey.
I mean, I can't really do Spider Man versus Flash. I mean, that's really a
I
non-touchable.
I I, I see that the same way, but that's the kind of
And plus, you
matchup.
got to also consider this too. By the time Spider-Man eventually gets into the Avengers, that's a long wait anyway. So Spider-Man's dealing with a whole bunch of different characters at this point, depending on how long these characters even survive the waves. So,
Now
not
here the real matchup. They match up Doctor Strange versus Green Lantern. I don't see how that would be a matchup because it's kind of it's kind of
Spider-Man versus Batman. That could be somewhat interesting, but I
I
can't give
yeah,
it to you.
that's
I can't give
fair,
it to
but
you.
honestly, I would give that to Spider-Man at this point. I would give that to Spider-Man. They're
The
just
one
too-
I got here,
Who's also enhanced, Wally. Spider-Man's
no,
enhanced.
but
Spider-Man
again,
is juiced.
but that I'm not gonna take that because again, I can't do it with spiders. I'm just going with humans. But at the end of the day, yes, have your jokes and have your fun. But at this point, at least I'll let that be fair, though. I'll let that be fair.
So the ones I got, it was kind of two that I want to point out. I got a little different than Ross and for my AI was they're saying Hawkeye teams up with Daredevil to take down the Flash. Two people they cannot one on one. They cannot. I know. I know. Rob is not fair. I know you're gonna say that. Go ahead. Rob.
What I'm getting at is like this has slowly evolved into DC versus Marvel, not Avengers versus the Justice League. And that
Totally
was
agree.
my argument from the beginning that we had to establish a roster because
Yeah.
here's the thing,
That's
like
why. Thank you for saying that. 'Cause
let's
I was
start
saying
pulling the
same.
X-Men in. Let's, all right, we're gonna start
See?
talking. If we're gonna do this, we're start talking about Omega level X-Men. I mean, Bobby Drake can freeze the entire battlefield and turn everybody into icicles.
The Phoenix can
Game
just
over.
break that
Magneto.
whole universe.
Oh yeah.
Magneto, freaking realistically, anybody that's got iron in their blood, so basically all these
AKA
humans,
Superman.
he can kill all of them just by going like that and pulling the iron right out of your blood. There goes majority of the freaking people on the battlefield. Now you're going to contend with freaking Superman and
or Angry Elf. Hold on.
That's why I'm
yeah,
Have Magneto do mental bending and made him move according to his will.
yeah. I mean,
see. This is why
and
I
if we're going to
say
pull
there's
Omega
a whole
level
snap.
mutants, it's all over with the Phoenix Force when Jean Grey shows up and turns everybody into ash.
Let me ask you this question because I'm not positive. And Rob, you might know the answer to this. Luke Cage was he ever in Avengers?
Yes, New Avengers. Luke Cage,
What?
absolutely. New Avengers.
Not the
I'm not sure. So according to this one, it says he's the only one who can come close to overpowering Superman.
what?
No, not the no. He might be able
he's
to.
a ground
He might be
level
able to take
street
a
fighter.
hit. He might be able to take a hit, but he can't. He can't reciprocate. He doesn't have that power. I mean, his skin being basically bulletproof or damage proof, he might be able to take a hit from Superman, but
Due
he
to
can't
juicing.
reciprocate the hit. And here's the thing: if it was Luke Cage versus Superman, all Superman has to do is pick Luke Cage up, take him into orbit, and leave him there,
You can even freeze him.
or freeze him. Yeah,
I mean, they're just ways around this, so it's like that's not even an equal fight. Especially you got one guy on the ground, one guy can fly.
And that's why I mentioned the roster what my AI assistant gave me. For the Avenger, it's Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Vision, and Spider Man. That's 10 for the Avenger, right? For the Justice League, it gave me Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Cyborg, Zatanna, and Showdown. That's
The,
the
the only
roster.
Yeah, but
the only question I have is which Green Lantern.
well, see,
Come
well,
on,
and
Hal
again,
Jordan.
that's why I
Hal
said you have to
Jordan.
think about time. Well,
You mentioned Hal Jordan.
well,
Al
the
Jordan.
Hal
most,
Jordan
yeah,
was
because technically that's the first one coming in. But that's what I'm saying. Timeline matters when you're talking about each one. So I'm saying in the timing, and then in plus how the extended, that's where you would have to take the fight. So at the starting, like who's the founding members, and then start from there. Then from there, work it down, like who gets added piece by piece.
And I think that's what the biggest issue with this argument, because throughout the decades, this argument never ended. It never. And Wally, you know this better than I do. You've been in a lot of circles with people going back on to the point it fits us. It gone down that way, and that's what I'm saying. Yet there's no variables put in motion. So if you want to set the variable, they want to blend between the DC comics and the DCU EU blend. That's for the Justice League. The Marvel is more of the MCU mixed with a classic comic blend. So it's more like because this would be the standard. And the funny thing about the Avenger part, the Black Panther wouldn't be added to this. That's a very
Well,
unique
yeah,
part about
but
it.
again, but that's what didn't shift. That's what I'm saying. Black Panther would be added somewhere in the second rotation, third rotation, based upon timeline. So yeah. But even if he
So
would have got in there, he definitely would have been able to handle some of the people already in the Justice League. So
because he had like two or three major different variables. He had the ability, he had the strength, and he also in the mystic arc as well.
and plus his suit,
His suit also is a very unique variable, which is more stronger than that of Iron Man suit. Because if we're going to compare with them, Iron Man wanted to get the vibrator to upgrade his suit because he know the vibrator material is a unique different material to using.
Hmm.
So, like I said, it's a bunch of variables in play here. This is why I look at it like. If they were to put a frame group on this thing, or what the limitation is, who is the original, who is the founding, or who based on what is up to standard, because the movie industry has somewhat rewrite what the comic to put out. And let's be real, there's a level
Yeah.
of confusion between the comic book and the TV.
See, we're going here again. Let's not bring this up again. We've talked about this. That don't bring this up again.
I'm not bringing up other things based
Yes,
on
you
this.
are. Yes, you are. We're going back to the movies versus the books thing. Again, we beat that to death. Again, the
this is
hypocrisy
why I
in
said
the
this.
in the
Let's do
in
a
the in the
timeline.
movie community. Comics can change the storyline, change the character as many times they want. No one says nothing. As soon as we get to the movie, everyone's in a fit because it's not related to the comic book. Well, which comic book are you talking about? We go through this all the time.
And that's why I'm saying based on Superman, what power level does he have? Because everybody make it seem like Superman is broken, but to what level?
See that, and that goes back to the original, you know, thing about DC because they've reset so many times, at least three. Like when Superman first came out, he couldn't fly. That's why it
Correct.
Correct.
was like,
He was part of
the original
jumping.
phrase. He can leap as high,
Leap
higher
tall
than the
buildings in a
tallest
single
buildings.
bound.
Exactly.
Keyword
Yes.
leap. This
Exactly.
this
It's the
ain't
same
fly.
thing what the Hulk does. And then eventually they said, you know what, this leaping thing is nuts. Let's just have him fly.
Yeah.
So
They had Hulk almost flying for a minute. I mean, it was like first he could jump like 2 to 3 miles of the leap, then he had him jumping into orbit. I mean,
yeah.
But it
I mean,
they
and
said they keep
not
flying.
not in that they say Hulk can go up so fast he could ride with a flash when it comes to speed at one point.
well, but
Yeah.
see, that's the other thing. Like with the Hulk, the angrier the Hulk gets, the stronger he gets. But the problem with that is as he gets angry, he also has basically that cloud, red vision, should be red rage or whatever, and he becomes difficult to control. And so it's like a loose cannon. You just got to make sure he's going in the right direction. You know,
In other words,
maybe if you
he's
get
like an atomic bomb.
Yeah, I mean, don't you think
yeah,
did they overdo it when they got to the War Hulk version? It was like so overdone that it just
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It was.
I
They
mean, he
made
right.
was
they made that he made it as if he wanted a galactic individual, like he destroyed planet.
yeah. Well, he was knocking out. He was beating what's those Sentinels? What do you call them? The those sentient beings. The not the I guess the Eternals. They
Yeah,
even had
True,
didn't Red Hulk knock out one of the Eternals or something like that?
something
true.
like that.
And they
But
Yeah, I mean,
Thor said that the Hulk scared the hell out of Asgard. They know not to mess with him.
yeah, I mean, the again, the whole thing of which direction would we go? It would have to be an established roster. I'm fine with what um, David found with the AI generated rosters, but I really think it's just going to come down. Like now, the thing of it is, you would have to, assuming that Captain America is leading the Avengers and tactically Batman is leading the Justice League,
mhm.
you would
Mm,
have to start quickly assessing what's going on and pairing people up to fight based off of
abilities.
their strengths and weaknesses. Like, immediately sending the Hulk after somebody like, you know, I don't know, maybe Wonder Woman to distract her, but sending, Doctor Strange after Superman. And that's assuming you understood their strengths and weaknesses on your opponent's side.
Right.
Um, you know, maybe I wouldn't put Batman versus Captain America. Maybe I'd do something like Batman versus Iron Man and then try to keep freaking Batman off the ground. Um, keep him up in the air. That's assuming that he doesn't have, and the other thing is this a pre-planned fight or is this they
No,
got
I
snapped
wouldn't say
out of
pre-plan. I wouldn't say pre-plan because
Right.
then they got snapped out of their reality and brought to this quote unquote battle world. That means Batman's probably all he's got is his basic utility
equipment.
belt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
basically.
he's got his
He's not.
grappling
Yeah, it
hook.
doesn't have
Yeah,
access
yeah,
to
yeah.
the.
That's why I just kept it. Yeah, but I wouldn't go that
Yeah.
far. Like, yeah.
So he's got his grappling hook, some smoke bombs, some batarangs, maybe some that what was it, that
Smoke
bat
bomb.
shark spray or whatever,
Ye-
you know.
Yeah, but it's interesting you say,
So
Rob, as far as the uh, I think who leads these teams, I think may make a difference. Because I think Batman is, um, I don't know if what would it be safe to say as far as the Justice League that Batman is the main strategist
By
in
far,
the
bar
yeah,
Justice
none.
League, or is it more like a shared
yeah,
No,
responsibility?
main
it's by no,
strategist.
it's by none Batman
and-
because he if anything, he the only one who's the more logical thinker. If anything, he the one that controls Superman from jumping the gun a little bit too much many times over. He have
Hmm.
yeah.
conscious wonderment about certain choices you have to make. And let's be honest, Batman like a walking conscience that get on your last nerve.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
Right. But now, having said that, I'm just doing a contrast. Now, on the Avengers side, Captain America seems to be he's definitely the strategist,
Oh yeah,
but his background as such is
And the
it's
moral
more
compass.
military strategist
Yeah,
more so than like Batman's always dealing with like the sort of criminal masterminds, whereas
right,
Cap is more on the battlefield. So
yeah,
Hmm.
could that then lead in terms of like, and you were talking about the matchups. So if Cap is babe and give him time to assess the field, he may say, okay, well, this is how we're going to take this on. I need you guys over here distract Superman while we do this and that or whatever. Who would be
right.
the better strategist in a battle situation?
It will be
yeah,
Would
Captain
it be
America
Batman or
hands down.
would it be Cap? Just the minds now. I'm just talking about not
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
their
will,
necessarily their
it will,
Yeah,
abilities.
because I mean, because
but
I can
I,
go this far as being technical. If we're talking about just like, let's say hypothetically, because I know Elf he said this earlier, but like let's say hypothetically, or I can't say exactly who said this, but let's say you just bring in each character from each camp one by one and then work it from there, right? I
Yeah,
mean, if we're talking about just like who started it and then like origin wise, like okay, because because the way how they set up the Justice League, I think Batman or neither someone else, one or the other, they started it, and so it's like, okay, you pre-select him to go in, and it's like, I know with the Avengers, technically Cap, I think neither one story or another, he came after the fact. So depending
Yeah,
on which
no,
one you want to use,
the way the Avengers were assembled, it was they were assembled because they had to go fight Loki, and it without going in the whole story. But yes, Captain America didn't show up until issue 4 of the Avengers,
right.
and
So
so
yeah, again,
and but the whole in the way I'm envisioning this in my head, it's not a one-on-one kind of bring one person in from each side
okay,
and they bow. I'm thinking more of this as a Royal Rumble.
I kind of agree with
The
you, Rob,
pretty
because I think
epic.
that's more fair because you
Well, yeah,
cannot go blow for blow for blow because I don't know how you cut the apple. Is going. He's like, oh, my buddy's in trouble. He's going to go and go help him out in the day. So in reality, if you want to picture reality, I think a Royal Rumble, all of them fight at once. I think that's the best way you can count this.
And
yeah,
what I was trying to point out is that it comes to strategists. Comparing Batman to Captain America will be somewhat unfair advantage. You're totally correct. Batman has dealt with a criminal mind. He's more like a detective. Remember his key name, he's the ultimate detective. That is correct, hands down. Issue is Captain America is more like a general. Military tested, military experience. And we know generals have a different aspect of the battlefield compared to someone like the criminal mind or the detective would be. So if you talk about strategy experience or strategy level, Captain America have the edge over Batman.
but maybe yes, but I mean, he's got. Here's the thing about, and again, it goes back to what Paul said. Batman. Is just he couldn't really exist even with his photographic memory. I mean, he has studied. Um, God, he went to the FBI Academy. He has studied detective work. He's okay. So excuse me. He's strong discipline. Blah, 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 blah. He's a master of disguise, multilingual, expert in espionage. Um,
Damn.
he's also, I mean,
So is
he's
Cap.
got all the he's also a master strategist and considered DC's greatest tactician. I mean, Batman's overpowered.
I mean,
He's
but yeah, but you gotta think about it from that point though. Batman was able to have time to do that. I mean, he's not living like some regular kid, so that's the one thing about that. It's like he has time to develop those things.
but he didn't
When you think
start that. He didn't start this journey, make the decision that he was going to go down this route until he was like 17 or 18. He left home.
around
He
that time,
left Gotham in his late teens.
right?
Um, you know, his life up to because his parents died at like
When he was young, he was probably
Like
like
he was
9.
like yeah, somewhere around 10. We'll just go ahead and say it somewhere around there.
around that frame time. Yeah, around that time frame.
And so he had 7, 8 years of being a granted, he was privileged. He had the trust fund, he had Alfred, but he had a kind of semblance of a normal life. And then it was just he realized that I think it was when Joe Chill was initially brought to trial, but he made the decision to start going on his journey and developing this skill, and he was going to become some sort of what eventually
Now,
evolved into Batman.
so
But
Bruce Wayne was 8 years old when his parents died. I just
okay,
looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
okay, but even still, he didn't make the decision to start going off and learning all these skills that he'll need to become Batman
Yeah.
until he was in his late teens. So, and then that's also the argument is like, how long did he go do this journey? So, anyways, it's a story for a different time.
Yeah.
But
But you can make the same case for Roger. I mean, Rogers has World War II
yep,
practical military, not only fighting the Nazis, but also Hydra and all those things. So he's been in campaigns of war
yep,
dealing with large forces or even
and
enhanced forces that he's had to strategize against. So I just think they have two different disciplines when it comes
yeah,
to
and
again. And if you're
and
going to treat it like a battlefield, Like, let's say, so whatever beings, it's almost like that Star Trek episode where they had like Kirk versus the Gorn or whatever. Here, we're gonna put you
Yeah.
guys here. This is who you're going against. The winner, your universe lives, and the other one dies or whatever. And so, and I would even give them time. If you gave them the time to strategize, okay, so we know exactly who we're going up against. So Batman has the files on the Avengers, and the Avengers have the files on the Justice League. I think, to me, that would be the fairest way to decide who is the best, not in an ambush situation or bringing them in one by one. It's like, y'all going to be transported to this planet, and you guys going to fight it out. Winner takes all.
Well, for me, so if I had to give the best strategist, I'll give it a Cap, because at this point you have to think about it. In the heat of battle, he has to think at that moment. And plus, as a soldier, you got to think now.
Yeah.
Batman, you had to learn that. And it's like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Batman don't have that, but at the same time, someone that's did it longer and that's sharp-minded on that already, you got to give that a quick advantage already at that point. So I got to give it to Cap on that.
I mean,
So have we
I'm not gonna
changed? Well,
argue
hang
that.
on. Have we changed? Wally came in with all this smoke.
Hey, look, don't give me. I'm not saying I'm not gonna try to be unfair. Wait, hold on now. Don't say I'm gonna try to be
I was
unfair.
just saying, but it's like, I think we
I'm
might
just
have won.
saying,
We've been slowly but surely through the night. He
Hey, I'm
came
just
in
saying, I'm
hot,
not trying to be unfair.
and we've been just picking off
I'm
this.
not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not being unfair. I'm not gonna do that. No,
I got you. I'm saying, I think we made some
Hey,
wins,
look,
some arguments. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you're reasonable.
Of
You didn't
course.
come in
I'm not
reasonable
gonna be
tonight.
unreasonable.
You can't. No, you came in.
Hey,
Stop
look,
this
I
discussion
came in,
now.
of
Boom,
course,
boom. This
but
gonna happen.
I'm not
It's
gonna
over.
be unreasonable. I'm willing to be fair. Like that's not what I'm gonna do here. I'm not gonna do that.
I'm messing
I'm
with
not
you,
gonna do
man.
that. Especially as long as someone's able to fight back, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. So
I mean, again, I don't know. I would have to seriously sit down and like look at all the given too much prep time. I mean, yeah,
I think you got the three. Arguably the three smart. I mean, Batman is, I guess, the smartest out of anybody on the maybe Martian Manhunter or whatever. But in terms of just intelligent,
yeah,
but you get Pym, Banner, and Stark in the same room.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they actually those three have caused more problems than solved problems. I mean,
Yeah, you got a good point there.
I mean, I don't know. Go back and look at the first Civil War story in the comics. They created Ragnarok, and Ragnarok created freaking all sorts of stupid problems. Killed Goliath.
Yeah.
I mean, that cyborg Thor just went rogue. They had to take him down, because they thought they had and anyways. But yeah, I think they could come up with enough problems for the Justice League. It would just have to be hitting your opponents fast enough with the right countermeasures to take them down.
Right.
And
But I'm
that's,
asking, yeah, but I'm
But
throwing
hit
a
it.
question now. Who is the Wally may know this more? Who is the smartest? Who are the brains in DC?
the big brains. I mean, we want to talk about.
Like I said, I can name 5. I can name 6.
As far as Justice League wise?
No, I'm talking about intelligence in terms of masters of the sciences, physics, technology, biology, whatever. So again, you got Dr. Doom, you got Reed Richards, you got like I said, the guy Banner, Shuri. I mean, it just seems like Marvel is full of these super intelligent, highly intelligent inventors and people who seem to solve problems by inventing their ways out of things, having a mastery of the sciences more so than Marvel. DC. DC's more these mythical kind of beings, Atlanteans and Amazonians and whatnot, but they're not known for their intelligence. Batman seems to be the guy who can, yes, he has some serious knowledge in terms of detective work, whatnot, basic, certainly rudimentary understanding of certainly science applications. But who else is the brain? Cyborg, maybe? But who else? Who are the brains? I'm talking about the big human brains or even enhance
I mean,
brains within the.
honestly, Superman's really the top one there. If we're talking about just Justice League, because let's be honest, the because he literally could literally fix the Earth's motherfucking problems, but he doesn't works and moves from that direction.
I
So
mean,
that's the only difference.
Plus, Superman, the
Henry
son of a
Irons.
scientist.
Is that
Superman,
again?
Yeah,
the
I
son
mean,
of
John
Lex
Henry Irons.
Luthor seems to be the brain in
Oh yeah,
DC.
Lex Luthor,
yeah, but the
Brainiac.
thing is,
eh,
Superman is an
But if
undercover
we're talking
scientist.
heroes,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
talking
talking
about just
just
if
anybody.
we're
I'm just
talking
saying,
about
In the
yeah.
Marvel universe is full of scientists, benevolent as well as malevolent
Okay,
ones, who try to use some sort of science or technology to either solve problems or cause mayhem. I
okay,
don't see that as much in DC universe. It's
okay.
more so
Uh,
these sort of mystical
Because let
type
me
of
help out.
beings.
Let me
Well,
well,
again,
no.
look at the
Let me
entire Justice League roster. Who is the brain who's going to invent something to
let me help
solve
you
a
out.
problem?
Let me help you out. Let me
solve
tell you
our
the
creative
contradiction.
problem.
Look,
Because
let's do the contradiction. Superman is number one. He's the son of a scientist. Let's not forget about that. He do a lot of
What has he
experiments on it.
invented?
There's a lot of
he's talking
stuff.
about inventing parts. You know, so you're talking about. Well, we're not just
I'm
talking about
right.
intelligence. We're
I'm
just
saying
talking
those
about
the
overall.
people in the Marvel universe, they build things. They build armor, they build weapons, they build
There,
defenses, they
Yeah,
have
Batman would have
technology.
to be the start.
They
the
I'm
the Fortress of Solitude, which is home, but we look inside the Fortress of Solitude. There's a lot of things he was doing
Well,
inside.
yes, but no, but David, he's talking about actually like the whole build up. So I mean,
Okay,
because
no.
granted, I mean, I would still put Superman there, but as far as your idea of what you're talking about, as far as just straight up geniuses, then it's like okay, Batman. Then you got Lex Luthor. Then you got Brainiac. That's the obvious one, honestly.
well, yeah.
Now from
Don't forget
there,
Mr. Terrific.
okay,
Don't forget Mr. Terrific.
Yep, you're right, Mr.
Don't
Trick.
and
That is for sure.
do not forget John Henry Irons. Steel.
Okay.
and there's
Steel.
Flash. What about Flash?
but
Flash got Flash got
a
the brains,
minor
but I wouldn't
character.
say he's there. Like
He wasn't a
Steel.
crime lab. I mean, he was look, I'm not saying he's not smart, but I'm talking about Reed Richards is
Okay,
No,
I see.
Reed
Yeah,
Richards
up
is
there. I'm
like,
talking but
oh yeah,
hang on, him, Banner, Stark.
yeah.
Put those three guys up against anybody and they're going to figure out something. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking. I'm talking about that kind of intelligence that actually builds. And even Superman, I don't know if he's super intelligent. He just has access to a huge database. I mean, the
no,
Kryptonian database certainly gives him
Yeah.
no, they
some
label.
knowledge on some things. But Reed be like, he'll just think of something in his mind, and
Well,
it just
so let me give some
he just makes
concrete
stuff.
factual points because if you remember, Lex Luthor gave Superman a lot of credit in his mind and what he's actually able to see because Superman's able to see something that most humans can't. And the fact that Superman's able to see something like this, and Lex Luthor was able to see just a glance of what he can see, it's like he literally already was already in his mind. Like, I don't believe that you see this on a daily basis. The things that you can literally do, and I'm like, so I'm thinking to myself, like, if literally you gave Lex Luthor any of that information that Superman has, it's literally like,
and the thing is, Superman keep that in lock because he's afraid that if he put it out there, they will find it suspicious. Like, how come you could do all this X, Y? Because the Fortress of Solitude was his own personal lab. To do all type of experiment and then some. And some of the stuff he been pulling off, he mentioned if it go out in the public, he'll be in heavy scrutiny because not only you a super being, but your brain level it's unfair. So we can't allow you to have free reign on anything.
But you don't think he could have used some of that knowledge, like for example, when he went up against Doomsday the first time? You don't. I mean, well, any of the
And that's
times he's
why,
going up against
well,
Doomsday, did
and
he?
that's why I
He
say he's
never came up with a solution.
that's why
well,
I say
yeah,
he's
but
the
I don't think
ultimate
so. There was,
contradiction. He's
well,
the
no,
ultimate
I think it would be a
contradiction.
tough deal with that because again, you have to be because I think about it, right? Facing Doomsday, one, you have to actually survive and collect data. You wasn't surviving and collecting data. You just wasn't. I mean, granted, now
But
Lex was the one that created him supposedly, but even then, it's like again, you're not surviving and collecting data. And plus, you're
but
not just walking away, leaving that man to just go out there and destroy things when no one it has the amount of strength to even handle him at that much. One on
but the
one won't
problem,
last long dealing with it.
but he's the
So
walking to me the walking contradiction on the ultimate level because if you are so broken, why you didn't unleash some of your power to deal with dark side, but instead for some reason you get yourself smacked left and right several times over to the point whereby it doesn't make any sense.
well, yeah, but
Even
we,
to,
we all know they're
even
not
even
putting him at
even
his
super
max.
Even
So
Supergirl at one point almost called him out like you couldn't beat this dude, but what? But it's for some reason I don't know what more
who?
comfort. I believe at the time the comic Supergirl was mentioned that Superman should be able to beat Darkseid, but in some way he has mentioned something about his moral compass. I said this is ultimate contradiction right here.
Wait, who
I
mentioned
don't get
that?
Supergirl, his cousin.
Yeah, but again, there's two different things. Supergirl was made on Kryptonian like stronghold. Superman's not. You have to build him up for that. So again, it's like conditions of who you get raised by, like pick and choose. Now, Graham, I'm not saying he don't live up to it eventually, but that's just a pick and choose him. Like,
But do you guys at least see what I'm saying in terms?
no, no,
Just
yeah,
the model.
yeah,
It
yeah,
seems
yeah,
like the
yeah, yeah,
DC model. I mean, I'm sorry, the Marvel model
yeah,
tends to lend itself more towards inventive minds more so than DC,
Yeah.
which maybe uses a more mytho archetype. Like we had the show on God versus superheroes, and again, you have these different types of people. It just seems like Marvel's approach to its heroes and villains seems to be more on a scientific level than DC. I'm not saying DC doesn't have, but again, I can just keep and I didn't even isn't like Reed and Richard and the Invisible Girls. Their kid is like uber smart also or something. I
yeah.
mean,
Within
it's
the
like
future
He's
sense,
uber
yeah,
everything. Franklin
yeah,
yeah,
Franklin
Franklin is
Richards is like
yeah.
yeah
Franklin Richards is like the peak Omega level mutant.
yeah.
if I'm not
You got
mistaken.
Forge, who's
Yeah,
a mutant in X-Men, who just
yeah,
invents
a
stuff in
mechanic.
his
Yeah,
mind, and he just
yep, yeah. I mean, because overall, when you think about the magnitude of just the inventing and how far in depth of creation, yeah, I think Marvel you can say did more than what DC has. Yeah, you can definitely say that
I will agree with that one too as well. Okay, you know, I'm thinking about it and I'm just putting it in my head. I'm
because you
like,
got to think
yeah,
about it. Because Wakanda is a proven factor alone. Because
yeah,
even with
yeah.
Shuri and all that, because of course to even enter in, there's a force field wrapped around that thing. Like that's just massive. Like to get a force
and
field.
to break that forth, you gotta understand the frequency on that part too, on that
Right.
level.
And then you're also talking about dimensions of just like artificial like gear. I'm like, okay, well, that's just crazy.
Now it seems like in the MCU they took it like to another level. Like when Shuri was asking, "Well, with Vision, why didn't you guys do this?" It's like, "Oh, we didn't think about it." It was almost like she was like laughing. So these supposed to be the
Yeah.
smartest guys, right? And they were like, "Duh, you guys could have did it this way." So they made her
Well,
like, And I don't know if it's like that in the
I mean, did it?
comics,
Well, didn't Vision
but
suit was? I mean, didn't Vision entirely was made off of just his own remnants, or they actually built it into the body and then he just eventually came into it?
I thought he was built out of they got the adamantium.
No,
See,
Vision had his
that's what I
body.
was
No,
questioning because I'm thinking when he came to term making his own body. So I'm just
No,
questioning. I'm making sure about that.
Vision is the byproduct of Ultron.
Right.
If you think about it,
He was
yes.
the
and
original. Right.
if
Well,
I'm
the
correct,
mind part, but
if,
the physical
but
body though
the
was
physical
the
body,
adamantium, right?
yes, he had to be built. No, yeah, you're correct because Ultron did store some antimatter to build out Vision,
Right.
and Vision is a mixture of antimatter plus the high level science. Which who created Ultron? Was it John Stark or
No,
No,
Doctor?
well, technically it
no,
was
it
Tony,
was
but it was a next function.
no in the comics it was Hank Pym that
There you
created
go.
Ultron.
Okay.
They because they hadn't introduced the character. Well, excuse me, they did, but they created it with a different perspective. They for the movies they gave it to Tony Stark. It made more sense for Tony Stark to
Yeah.
create Ultron for the movies.
Right, because Hank Pym
Direction they
in
went.
Avengers was like he was old by then. He was like it was really
Yeah,
the
And
guy
plus,
took
you have
over
to
for
like,
him.
think about it. Everything that Ultron is literally Iron Man times 100.
yeah.
Yeah, for
All right,
sure.
guys, let's start
So
getting our final thoughts. Robbie, go first. David, Paul, then Wally.
yeah, it's as much as I mean, I'm wearing my Marvel Secret Wars shirt. As much as I'm a Marvel fanboy, I definitively have to say the Justice League would win. I think the Justice League has more heavy hitters. They come out with Superman, Wonder Woman, one of the Green Lanterns. I mean, the Flash. Those four with Batman backing them up as a tactician, he's going to take down freaking the Avengers. The Avengers would have to bring their A game. They'd have to pull somebody out and I didn't even bring these up because I didn't want to go that route. Bring up the Sentry. But again, I still think the Justice League wins every single day. twice on Sunday.
Wait, Sentry becomes an Avenger?
Yeah, he was in the new Avengers.
Okay.
Now it's my turn. Final thoughts. I knew beforehand this was not going to be an easy discussion because there's too many variables have not been set properly. But at the end of the day, it kind of sucks that a Justice League won this one hand down twice or three times in a row based on the matchup. But for some apparent reason, I find it shocking that we have more brain power on the Marvel side of things than that on the DC side of things, which I could never comprehend it. But this is will be the argument that will resurface again on another platform, maybe 2 or 5 years from now with another different variables, and the argument never gonna end because this has been a age-old debate. I'm glad no one throwing the fists, no one throwing the chairs. There's no table, ladder, or chair match up in here, so that's a good thing. That's my final thought. Who is A?
That's
Bob,
Angry
you're
Elf.
up.
Who is the letter A?
All right, come back to him.
Yeah, honestly, it's weird. I mean, just through this conversation, which has been a good one tonight. This was fun. I came into this certainly given the edge, especially if you have very specific teams, given the edge to the Justice League because just of all the heavy hitters. But again, in the scenario that I painted, so again, there basically is going to be team versus team, and you have time to prepare and to study your opponent. I just think with Cap, with his military experience, the brains of Pym, Stark, and oh man, I'm having a brain freeze here. Oh, Banner. I think they can pull some things to certainly to turn the tide with the Justice. It's a lot closer. I may still give the edge to the Justice League, but certainly you got some heavy hitters on each side. It may just boil down to strategy, who's going to be the better one at it. And I side with Cap over Batman in this situation. Crime fighting, it may be a different story, but on the battlefield, studying your opponent's weaknesses and finding how to shuttle certain people off and disabling certain parts of the whole, even though it might be bigger than you. Yeah, this is close. Like I said, it's right now it's maybe 51-49 right now for the Justice League, but on any given day, I think the Avengers might be able to pull it out, especially if you give them time to prepare.
Wow, when already? What about Wally?
Oh,
Where did Wally go?
sorry,
Where is Waldo? Oh,
my bad.
look at the eyes.
No, I'm looking like that because I'm noticing it says my mic has been muted. Am I even talking?
You're
Yeah, we
good.
can hear
Yeah,
you.
you're
We can
talking.
hear you. Bring
Okay.
your lawyer evidence.
No. Well, as far as this breakdown fight, and look, I mean, the only other argument really that they really changed this overall is if you're talking about max peak level of everybody, and then coming into this fight. If we're talking about max peak level, I do think you would give us a different story of the battle in a different context a little bit more, because at this point then it's like you have to really like look at it on different variables from that point. Look, overall, like I said, based upon lineups, timelines, people that join in to the Avengers and or Justice League periodically as time goes, definitely change over the fight in the long stems overall. So, but looking at the start of just both groups, I think you would give the Justice League their time frame on winning this fight. But as time goes, that definitely could alter and be different overall down the stretch. So, it is what it is. But I take it from I'll give it that point.
All right, guys. So it was an interesting episode. I'll give you guys that.
Good show, guys. Kudos.
As much as I hate to say this, because I am a Marvel fanboy, Avengers fanboy, just at least have this one. But let's go real quick schedule update because a couple things are changing. Tomorrow on Gray Area, we're talking about what is it again, Paul? You remember?
This is basically taking care of parents who weren't necessarily good to you.
Yeah. And on Tuesday, the Sparta Arena show as we moved on Tuesday is why do we stop listening to our elders? This should be an interesting one. I'm gonna try to get a special guest on that one. Can't promise that's gonna happen. I'm gonna try. Question for you, Paul. Are you still gonna make Tuesday the show on Tuesday, or that's gonna be out of question for you?
No, it's going to be
Hit or
as
miss.
time permits, or if I feel I can certainly add content. So just like it is now, I may show up a little bit later or whatever, but more than likely I'll probably be able to stop on through for a bit.
Yeah, and on an anime show, we're doing Space Category Blue Nor. I might be pronouncing that completely wrong. I apologize if I do. So Wally and David will be going over a classic 80s cartoon. And actually, I'll give it to you, Paul. First show of yours, new show. Go ahead. Take the.
Yeah. So again, on Thursday, the 22nd at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, myself and Coach Trey, we're launching a new show, Next Gen Training, and we're going to be certainly looking at different mindsets in the first episode. It's going to be a show where we equip and empower people who want to elevate using our experience as coaches and trainers. So again, it's a show for young people. If you know young adults or young people in general who are looking for that, but even for yourself, if you're a parent who has, you want to be better equipped in terms of how to get your adolescent children to focus better, or just change the thought process. We're looking to provide a place where we have this discussion and that we offer positive insights that can certainly, we hope that will, help people in a positive way and move people in a positive direction. So definitely look forward to the show.
All right, Paul, thank you so much. And for next Saturday, we'll be talking about, this was David's idea, so we're going to be talking about Legend of the Optimus Prime, and I expect him to take the reins on that one. Except that's all I have for now. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Rob, anything else? David?
Hulk smash bear paw.
Mr. President?
All good here. See you tomorrow.
Wally?
Have a good night, folks.
As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Good night.
Bear paw.